James knows Pickens.
James knows his Pickens.
Hello there, traders.
Hi there.
We are here, episode 6 of Everything's Late and Nobody Dies.
Mm-hmm.
6, still going.
Ooh.
That's impressive in itself.
Very, very, yes.
All right.
Very quite contrary.
So we're here today to talk about sustainability in comics. I've actually got a larger following both on Twitch and on TikTok than I do on YouTube. And the TikTok, they limit you to these like 3-minute top things. And one of the creators on there was put out the question, how sustainable is the comic book industry, and basically how healthy is the hobby?
Is it going away? Is it not going away?
Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, you can come at that at a bunch of different angles.
Right.
And it's really difficult, and that always kind of devolves into a tirade against the bro collectors and spec.
Yeah, I mean, it
and
can be, but also, I mean, everybody does their part.
Yeah.
For better or worse, everybody does their part with that.
I mean, and I think we've got a really good perspective here. I mean, I can't speak to it a whole lot over the past 20 years because I've been out of the hobby, but you've been doing this steady for the last 30 years or so.
Yeah.
In one form or another, whether it was just a collector or you've owned the shop for 18 years. 18 years.
I worked at a different place for a couple of years before that, and then I collected very seriously for, man, I guess it was mid-'80s I started collecting again, really serious. So yeah, we're talking like 40 years here,
right,
of serious collecting.
And I know when I was collecting back in the 80s, back in the 70s I was collecting, but it was just, I'd go down and buy books at the newsstand at Harmon.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
Harmon's, we're looking for a sponsor still. Come on, Bob and Ted or whoever you
are. We do plan on mentioning Zenoscope 5 or 6 times during this episode.
Yeah.
And Cover Price. Love those guys too. But back in the 80s, when I was really seriously collecting, it's something you would hear all the time. You would always hear, it's not sustainable. We're moving to different types of media. People are more interested in, back then it was TV and film and VHS tapes were the big thing. And they were saying that's going to kill the comic book industry. And I think before that, back in the 50s and 60s, it was, television is going to kill comic books.
And radio is going to kill television, or television is going to kill radio, then right, and blah blah blah, and movies are going to kill radio, and then TV is going to kill movies, and then there's always something that's going to kill something else. So
and it's all going to kill comic books at some point, but I mean, it's still hanging in there.
I mean, if anything, all this other stuff has made comics stronger, I think. Right. If not for just the collecting aspect, but also the spec and the investing aspect of it. So, I mean, I'm not, again, we talked about this a million times, and I can talk about it a million more, but I'm not going to complain when people come in and they want to buy the books that correspond with the shows that are coming up, or the shows that have been announced, or whatever it is.
Right.
I'm never going to complain about that, because I am, there's the art and there's the business, and I am in the business of selling art.
Yeah.
And I got to separate that. At home is the art. That's the fun. So here's the business. I can still have fun here, but here I've got to sell things in business.
Right.
And I can't look at that and go, "Oh man, that is so cool," even though it is.
I can't. Very cool.
I can't look at that and go, "Oh, that's so cool." And I think maybe I should start. Yeah, I should take that home. No, I don't collect Greenland. I got to sell this thing. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So I wanted to start a new thing where I'm going to go around the shop before we start filming and grab just some cool stuff. Yeah, all kinds of great stuff here. And just kind of show off on the easel the cool stuff that we have.
Well, I can't fit on there.
Available to us. You could if you tried.
That is true. That's going to hurt.
Yep.
That's pointy. No,
the pain you have to go through for your audience.
For my art. I'm not going to sit on an easel so we can get a follower. That ain't going to happen.
So
it's a different site.
I think it's really interesting because this, I think, speaks to the sustainability issue. Because part of what was mentioned was the fact that floppies have got themselves to the point where they price themselves out of business.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at inflation and the dollar today compared to what it was back in the 80s, comic books have disproportionately raised in value.
Yeah.
They should be at that $2.99 spot, where Spawn and Saga are. That's where they should be.
Yeah.
But these large corporations bought up the comics.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think it's the corporations got their fingers in it now, and they want to make more. They're going to do anything they can to make more money.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, and to some extent, we're to blame. I mean, we buy them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm buying.
You can sit here and complain all damn day.
Yeah, I'm still buying every cover of Detective Comics.
Yeah, you're still buying them. You're still buying the books. So that in and of itself is kind of sustaining, I think.
Right.
But that's a smaller piece of the bigger picture.
Yeah. But I do find it really interesting that we've got things, and like I wanted to show these off because I do think kind of our next big thing. It's something I'm kind of the spec purchaser in me is doing right now is picking up a bunch of these old, Silver Age DC.
They're still decently priced.
I mean, these are killer price. Well, you got $12 on Challengers of the Unknown. I mean, it's a good condition book.
It's a little beat up, but
number 42, 12 center.
Yeah.
Like you put that thing in a slab, you've got $120 all day long.
Oh well. Now you tell me.
And a lot of this Silver Age DC stuff doesn't get the attention that the Marvel stuff does.
Yeah.
From that same era.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, I think. It's when you look way, way, way back, you got to go 30s and 40s for the DC stuff.
Right.
Golden Age DC stuff outshines everything. But you start getting to the Silver Age, and I feel like, yeah, you're right. It's Marvel.
Well, if you look at Golden Age Marvel characters, like if you look at the Invaders, Captain America, Human Torch from that era, they're gonna eclipse anything DC was doing.
Yeah.
Marvel's number one. I mean, that's $1 million book.
Yeah, but I mean, Detective 27 is a $4 million book. Action 1 is a $4 million book. Superman 1 is $1 million. I mean, I feel like they've got more huge books in that Golden Age than
for
Marvel.
Sure.
And just because they were putting more out,
they were of course.
But I mean, they're kind of more. I feel like the historical importance of the Golden Age stuff lies with DC, and the historical importance with the Silver Age is Marvel, because DC really kind of invented superheroes. Let's be real about it. They sort of invented superheroes, and then in the 60s, I feel like Marvel reinvented superheroes.
Right.
So, that's why I think those two times are so important with those two companies. And I don't know that the Silver Age DC stuff will ever really, I don't know that it'll catch up to the Marvel stuff. I think it'll close in, but I don't know that it'll catch up.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to overtake the Silver Age Marvel stuff, because that's all of your first appearances, right? Of all of your Marvel stuff.
Yep.
But reintroduction of classic characters for sure for DC. Like they didn't reintroduce Batman, Superman, but a lot of the villains and secondary characters you were reintroduced to the Riddler and Catwoman and Poison Ivy and all these characters.
Mr. Parker, Cold Boy, whatever he was called, Mr. Freeze. It wasn't Mr. Freeze. It was, what did they call him? It wasn't Mr. Freeze.
Captain Cold.
Oh, Mr. Zero.
Oh yeah.
Now playing Zero.
I think the only real DC hero that has that moment in the Silver Age would have to be that Flash.
Yeah.
And that's the book that a lot of See, I look to
Maybe the new Green Lantern stuff, the Hal Jordan Green Lantern stuff.
yeah,
You know, those first, but only the first few because they just plummet in value after that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But personally, I look to the book that kicked off the Silver Age. To me, is Fantastic Four #1,
Yeah.
and I don't know why that is in my mind, but that's the book for me.
I mean,
As you know, because you've had me press one, I'm like, I don't even want to touch this
Yeah.
thing because that one scares me.
Yep.
But I say that, and then people say, "Well, what about Flash?" And I can't remember what issue it is, but there's
showcase.
Yeah, it is a showcase. But first reading Silver Age
Yeah.
Flash, yeah,
Flash of Two Worlds or whatever it was. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you know, I guess technically it does, but I feel like FF is more important. You know,
By far.
because you know, because that was the Flash thing was like, oh, here's a new version of this character that we had in the Golden Age, and that was kind of
Right.
DC's thing. You know, new Green Lantern, new Flash, new blah 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 blah, whatever. You know, and I feel like the Fantastic Four is so much more important because it wasn't like, oh, it's a new Fantastic Four or a new, it was just like this, you never seen this, and this is the first time any of these have been around.
Right.
You know, same with the X-Men, even though Stan Lee famously said he was just lazy and that was the X-Men's origin. Have you heard that
No,
story?
I haven't.
Yeah, he was like, they were talking. They're like, oh, so you know this origin and that origin. He's like, yeah, well, you know the X-Men, the laziest origin ever. I couldn't think of a way for them to get power, so I said they were born with it. I was like, oh,
Right.
that actually makes sense. Okay, like I mean, it's
Yeah.
brilliant, but it's also
so
lazy
simple
and
because it's
simple.
brilliant.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of feel like that's maybe why that is.
Okay.
I think it changed a lot more because they were new characters, not new versions of characters. So, you know, it's like if you go and watch an original horror movie, it's probably going to be more important and better than a remake.
Right.
You know, and yeah, that Flash and the Green Lantern technically are remakes because it's a new version of it. You know, and they keep doing that over and over and over with everything, but that's okay. You know, it's you need to do that sometimes.
I do find it's really interesting now that you say that because that's very much what they did. The only like the Trinity they didn't touch. I mean, it was still Diana Prince, Clark Kent, and Bruce Wayne.
I think it's interesting that you actually said I said something interesting. That's a pretty big moment for me, man.
That's pretty interesting. But it's interesting to me that, especially as we sit here to talk about sustainability, they did like you went from I can't remember the name of Flash in the Golden Age. It escapes me. Was it Thrawn? Anyway, so they changed characters. It was a completely different person that was playing Flash. Hal Jordan is a completely different person playing Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And then and we accepted that.
Jay Garrick.
Yeah, Garrick.
Yeah. Give me about 10 minutes and I'll answer whatever you asked me last Wednesday too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at just bam, right? Yeah.
But it's funny because they did basically the same thing with Future State, where they reintroduced these new people as these classic characters, and that was nowhere near as well received.
No. Well, you know, because I mean, I think the big difference is there's so many people that are fervently into comics now. Back then, you know, like 50s and 60s, yeah, okay, they sold more than they do now by far. We'll never hit those numbers. Ever.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like people weren't as intensely involved with comics then. You know, there were no movies, there were no TV shows, there were a couple of serials and maybe some, you know, cartoons or something here and there, right? You know, there were some T-shirts and 7-Eleven did their Slurpee cups, you know, but it's like that wasn't people didn't like, you know, like nobody had comic book tattoos, you know what I mean? It's like nobody was super involved in that kind of stuff like they are now. You know, there were no comic shops. There was nobody that was like, oh yeah, I live and breathe this stuff, you know, except the people that were making it. And I think that the generation that's looking at the future state stuff that's like, oh yeah, it's a new person, I'm not interested in that. Well, that's been their entire obsession through their life.
I can see that.
I mean, there are people that have been, like me, like I didn't personally have any interest, even though I heard it was really good. But I don't have interest in reading Next Batman or I Am Batman or whatever, because it's not a character that I know. I read Batman because I like Batman. I like Bruce Wayne. Now Dick Grayson, he was fine as Batman. I thought he was actually really good, but that's still a legacy character that's been around,
Right.
since whenever, since the 40s. You know what I mean? So for that character to take over, that's fine. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new Wonder Woman or the new Superman or the new Batman or the new anything. It's just not what I prefer to read. And I've got so much stuff right now, and I think that may be some of it too. There was not even close to this amount of stuff coming out when they revamped their characters in the Silver Age. So it's like, there were no failures really back then. They could put anything out and it would sell. I mean, Modeling with Millie, issue 30.
Right.
This wouldn't even be a one shot now. It's like there was so much stuff, like everything was popular.
Well, yeah, and back in especially the Golden Age, I mean, you had two titles that had Superman in it. You had Superman, which was a Superman book, and all cover to cover with Superman.
Yeah.
And then you had Action that had a little Superman story and a little, this and that, a couple others in there, comics or whatever. And the same with Batman. Those original detective books had a small Batman story.
Oh yeah,
and they had other detective characters. In them as well.
Then you got with World's Finest. That's where the team up was.
Right.
That was DC team up. But yeah, I mean, I've been reading, for some reason. I've been going back and reading a lot of really old, like 40s and 50s, detective and Batman comics lately. I don't know why. It's just what I've been interested in. Maybe it's kind of a nostalgia, like I wish that would be like that again. But it's funny because I will read those and I'll be like, oh, there's 15 pages or 10 pages of Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to read Martian Manhunter or Elongated Man. Do I care about those? I don't know if I do or not. Probably not. I guess we'll see.
I mean, that's where you got Plastic Man.
Yeah. Yep.
Like he started in Police Funnies and then Detective Comics for a minute, and yeah.
I mean, they had all the detectives because it was a detective book. And they started out with the hard-boiled stuff and then went to detective superheroes.
Yeah.
And then they forgot that it was called detective.
Elliot Ness was in there for a minute. For a little while.
Elliot Ness, wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff. They just don't.
I just still want to do a Sean Connery thing.
And it's too bad because
one of our Kryptons, we'll blow up two of theirs.
The I Am Batman stuff is really good.
Yeah, I never heard it's really good. It's just, that's part of the problem as well. There's 14 Batman books right now. And that is ridiculous. Yeah. That is too much. I mean, I go counting these things where I'm putting the stuff up and I'm like, oh my God, we got 6 Batman books this week. We got 4 Batman books this week. I mean, the least Batman books I think we've had in the last probably 2 years. Maybe this week. I think there's only like 4 of them.
Yeah.
And that's bananas, man. I said that.
But is that something that, I mean, when we talk about sustainability, is burnout? I mean, is that going to kill us? Is that going to ultimately hurt the hobby?
I think there needs to be a reset button again. I think there needs to be a kind of an early 2000s, late 90s reset, because there's just been too much stuff, and they figured out in that time, oh, okay, we can't have 17 X-Men books, we can't have 32 Batman books, we can't have 15 Superman books. It's just like, come on, man, we gotta trim this down a little bit, and have 5 Avengers books or whatever it is, and they did, and they trimmed that down. They did the Ultimate line, which was a huge success, but that was them going broke and throwing stuff at the wall to see what happened. Right. That's all it is.
but yeah, I think there's definitely some burnout, and I think when people start talking about we're we're not sustainable as a hobby, I think that speaks more to their burnout because
Yeah.
I don't see as long as you have writing like what we're getting in Detective Comics right now, or the type of writing we're getting on Daredevil or Thor right
Yeah.
now,
Or John Carter.
I need to
So
get it.
sorry. A week cannot go by with me not doing
Lord,
that. I really thought your shirt
Lord.
said everything sucks. This is
Oh, that's Everything Comics. That's our good friend Bullseye Bob. That's his channel.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I think as
Hi,
long
Bob. Okay.
as long as we keep getting decent writing, there's no reason that it won't sustain itself.
And I think we're going to see another dip. And it's, I mean, like you always say. I mean, I think it's going to be more of a crash. You think it's going to be more of a course correction. I happen to feel it's going to be a lot closer to a crash than anything.
I think that we're about where we're going to get. I don't see it
Yeah.
going anywhere.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's hard to say. I feel like it's going to go down just a little bit.
I see. I think as a hobby that we are completely sustainable. Um, I used to be concerned when I got back in. My concern was that I am 50 years old and I'm buying funny books, and my friends are all 50 years old and they're buying funny books. But we get like we get
We're the 30-year-olds, we're the 20-year-olds, we're
we
the
we get
teenagers.
plenty of 20-year-olds in here
But
on a Wednesday.
yeah, and that happens.
You really do.
That happens a lot now.
Like you've got, and we've got the one guy that'll come in that is a bro collector. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's a great kid,
Mm-hmm.
and like he's always like listening and what's this week's hot book, and
Yeah.
you know when I'm talking to Jace, like Jace is here because he loves the books, he loves the characters.
Right.
I don't even know if he reads the things, he just thinks Venom and Spawn are cool, so he
Yeah.
buys every Venom and Spawn that come out, and there's a place for that collector.
Sure.
But he listens when I talk to Jace. I'm like, make sure you pick up this book because you want your hobby to be sustainable. So you need to buy the spec book to pay for next week's book because that keeps Greg in business.
Yeah,
that keeps our books flowing. That's how the process works in my mind. But yeah, he listens to all that and he's always buying, you know, doing his little spec buys and stuff. I think there's a place for that. I think that helps keep us sustainable.
sure. Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a place for all kinds of collecting.
Right.
And as long as one thing doesn't overcome everything else, then I think we will stick around. And I think we will. I don't see. There's a lot of small companies I don't see still being around another 3 or 4 years. I feel like there's a lot of big creators right now that you won't see hardly anything at all of in 3 to 5 years. Now, I'll tell you maybe when we're not doing this who I think they might be, because some of them I know and I don't want to be like, but I mean, I think that's a change in the creation of the stuff too. And I mean, we're back to, for better or worse, we're back to the rock star stuff. I mean,
right.
Tomorrow Clayton Crane will be here. He's on tour.
Yeah.
He's on a nationwide tour
with his entourage and a handler, the whole thing.
Absolutely, man. And he's like, oh, I'm Clayton, I want Green in this. That's it. I'm like, dude, whatever, bro. Okay. No, he's a very nice guy. But I mean, we're kind of back to that really, because it truly is. He's on tour. It's the Blackout tour, which I swear to God, I saw the Scorpions on in like the mid '80s.
I did go see the Blackout tour, and they. Yeah,
that's my Scorpions.
Last time I'll ever go see Scorpions. Anyway,
probably wise. But I mean, these guys are going on tour. They're doing all this stuff, and they are kind of rock stars again, like the 90s
Right.
were. You know, I mean, you had, you know, the rock stars, the super group, if you will, was Image.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, all the hot rock stars from Marvel and DC said, you know what, let's start our own band, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it. We're, you know, let's release our own records, whatever. Records are what we used to buy before CDs.
They're actually really big again. I've been buying
CDs were
records
actually CDs were
Yeah.
before MP3s.
been buying a lot of records on.
Yep,
whatnot.
MP3s were before streaming. So anyway, okay, let's move on. Yeah, history lessons, man, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I mean, everything comes in cycles. Variants. There's the spec market. There's the market watch. You know, it's just, I mean, you go on, you know, Key Collector, stuff like that. Well, very useful to me, or just it's a high tech wizard. You go on there and you see what's selling.
Yeah.
You know, you got your high, your average, your low price, which is exactly what Wizard did. You know, it's just there's more places to compile it.
I am almost positive that Nick modeled Key Collector after Wizard, because it is just like looking at a Wizard.
It is, you know,
back in the 90s.
Yep. And Wizard still would be around if they embraced the changes.
Yeah.
You know, and got smart about things.
But I do think that is a part of our business that is not sustainable. Wizard's gone, obviously, but the Overstreet, they have to adapt. I mean, you've got cover prices just doing everything that they took Overstreet and moved it to a modern era.
Yeah.
And so you can get those prices in real time, and they're extremely accurate. And if you look at long term, their data shows that the prices that you'll get in the next Overstreet are going to be just as accurate as what they're doing on the website.
Yeah. So my problem with that, and I'm sure a lot of, or I assume a lot of, you know, retailers, the problems we have with that is we can't reprice everything every week. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, I've got how many tens of thousands of back issues out here. I can't go through. If I were doing that, I would live here, and I would be, okay, I'm the guy that goes through and reprices the back issues every week. Everybody else run the store now. You know, I mean, the Overstreet for me is still very useful because I think it's a fair price for stuff. You know, it might not be the most accurate, and it might not reflect the market, but I think it's the fairest price for stuff.
I think it's extremely accurate reflecting the market. If you look at
it just doesn't reflect the market for another 6 or 7 months. Right. It's got that delay on it.
Right, because it's not going to have books that came out today.
Right. Like, it's got to take away, yeah.
Like The Closet is not going to be in there until the next one's published.
Right. And when the next one's published, it might be in there for $4.
Right.
And then the next one comes out, it might be in there for $50. You know, you see those jumps now. That's just crazy. You know, the first Gunslinger Spawn was, I think, $6 last year, and now it's like $200.
But it's really two different markets. Mm-hmm. So you've got your comic shop. So you've got a comic shop, and you price out the Overstreet, and you, like, I couldn't even imagine how many books you got in here now, thousands of books, every one of them priced out of an Overstreet. So anybody can walk in here and dig through your long boxes and get a great deal on whatever the current hot book is. Mm-hmm. I do it all the time. I come in here and, you know, you got this book for $9. Woo! Modeling Millie.
Yeah.
And
modeling with Millie.
Is it?
Yeah. Modeling Millie sounds, that's something you could be selling your Willie's Wonderland.
But yeah, you've got this and you price it out today at $9. And if that hits tomorrow and it's a $50 book because you showed up in the latest episode of, you know, whatever's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna come in here and get it for $9.
If you get Millie, and I would love to see Millie the model and her foster child show up like in the next Doctor Strange movie or Moon Knight or something. Something a little darker.
Nobody knew that Night Nurse was going to be a thing.
Okay, yeah. So Night Nurse, I bought that original run, like almost perfect condition, like those first 4. Yeah, only 4 issues, right? Yeah. So you know that came in years ago, and I was like, oh man, I love this cheesy old crap, you know. And I bought it, or you know, bought the collection, just took it home, and read them and I was like, oh my God, these are great. And then she showed up in Daredevil, not immediately identifiable as her, but the prototype of that character, yeah. And then God, now it's like $1,000 for the first one.
Oh,
It's stupid. And I probably bought the whole collection for $50. You know what I mean?
But you do. I mean, you never know when these characters are going to show up again. And I think with 90 plus years of comic book history,
oh God,
there's, I mean, nothing but sustainability there.
Mm-hmm. These prices for that X-Men series in particular, like that #1's $25.
Yeah,
all the covers. And I used to have so many of those, I would put them in the quarter boxes.
Oh yeah.
I did like a decoupage thing on a piano in the basement. It's like an old family piano from way back, and it's like his antique piano, and it was already messed with, so it's not worth anything. But I had so many X-Men #1s, I would cut out pictures of X-Men #1 and put them on there. So I got all this Jim Lee X-Men stuff on my piano, and it looks super cool. But I mean, geez, I feel like maybe the gatefold cover should be 10. The rest of the covers should probably be 7, maybe 8.
Right.
And then I think that 2, 3, 2 and 3 should probably be $5. I think maybe 4 you could say $10. I think that's a fair price for that. I mean, I think that's a reasonable price. It is the first appearance of Omega Red. Whether he's in a movie or not, people still love that character.
And there's a place in the history of our hobby for that book, that run, for sure.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, there were so many of them. I mean, I almost feel like issue 2 should be worth more than issue 1.
Oh yeah,
because there's so many fewer copies of issue 2 out there. Issue 1, my God, kind of like Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 1.
Right.
Spawn 1, I think should probably be $15, maybe 20, because it's the first appearance of Spawn.
Right.
I feel like Spawn 2 should probably be 25. First Violator, lower print run, tougher to get a hold of. But I mean, that's me. That's what I would do if I were setting the prices and stuff like that. But obviously, that's not going to happen because those are $25 day in and day out. That #1.
Right.
And I can't keep them in the store. I was looking through a box the other day, and like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh my God, there's all those covers. There's all 5 of them. That's $125 just sitting here in a box, and I'm just failed to put out. I put them out, and they were gone in 2 days, all 5 copies.
So it's really interesting to me, and I think what it comes down to is I don't see comic books going anywhere. I mean, I just don't. There's enough interest from new readers. There's enough new material, not just from Marvel, not just from DC, but new material from the indies. But there's enough of that out there that's driving interest in, like, these are interesting stories that people want to make TV about and want to make films about.
I mean, there's storyboards that exist already. Right. Literally, you'll pay people to do storyboards on movies. That's your storyboard. The storyboard's right there. It's all over the place, and there's millions of storyboards for you to look at.
And
I think it needs to look at. That's what you need to do.
I do feel that a lot of the people that are saying that comics are not sustainable are looking at the big two. Maybe some image stuff as well.
Yeah, but funny enough, those are the only 2 that I think are fully sustainable.
I don't.
DC and Marvel.
I felt just the opposite. I mean,
really,
they are. I mean, they are sustainable in the aspect that all that spec and all that popularity is driven by the movies, by the TV shows. They've got HBO, they've got Disney Plus, they've got Warner and Marvel Studios and all that driving them. Who is Amazon and Netflix and Paramount? Who are these people looking to? Well, they're looking to the indies at this.
They're looking for something that they don't have to make a huge multi-million-dollar deal with a huge multi-billion-dollar company.
And they can't. They know if they do get lucky and get their hands on a Marvel Comics property to do a movie, that Disney's just going to acquire their company and take it back anyway.
Right.
So, it makes more sense for them to go to The Boys,
Yeah.
And those type of things.
And I mean, the reason though I think that the big two are more sustainable than anything is, there've been all these smaller properties that have been picked up, all these smaller publishers' books that have been picked up for series, and you've got about one out of every five that works.
Right.
I mean, for every Walking Dead, you've got a Powers. For every Invincible, you got a Witchblade that, while was not unsuccessful, wasn't the same situation at all.
Right.
It was not like this beloved, oh my God, wow. So I feel like the Disney and the AT&T books, and I'm referring to them as the companies because that is kind of what they are now.
Right.
But I think that Disney and AT&T, they'll keep putting those books out, even if it starts coming back as a loss to them. They're still going to do that because that's almost a loss leader. And I feel like that's what they are. They're advertising. They're loss leaders, and it's like, even if they start losing their asses on these things, then they're still going to put them out to advertise for their merchandise, to advertise for their movies, their TV shows, their T-shirts, their tennis shoes, their socks, their swimsuits.
That is true, but there's also the part of them, they're like, well, can't we just make these available to read online?
But I don't think they'll ever do that.
Your floppies go away.
I don't think they'll ever do that. And the main reason with that is trades still sell so well all over the place.
But they could do that. They could put out 4 issues in online and then sell a collected trade.
Oh yeah, and they're doing that
very
with some
easily
things. Yeah,
do that.
Yeah, they can. I just don't think they will. Because I mean that would cut back, I feel like, a lot of their business. That would turn a on the fence loss, like a possible loss, that would turn that to a full business.
See, I'm really afraid that that's the route they're going to want to go, because I don't want to lose my floppies. I mean, I'm a big collector of the single issues, but I can see how tempting that would be to a Disney to be like, oh, we can just do
I thought for sure by now we would see AT.
I was really concerned through COVID before they started switching and messing with distribution. I thought that's the route they were going to go.
And then I thought they would lose their butt so hard on distribution.
Yeah.
That they would eventually just be like, oh God, forget it. And that, I mean, that also speaks to, things like pirating or stuff like that, which, I mean, I don't think that downloading a comic is pirating. Pirates don't share.
Right.
Pirates take things and run away. That's it. Yeah. They pillage and they take all your things and they don't share with anyone. That's not pirating. And it's like, I know that, people are like, oh man, we could have sold, they had 1 million downloads. This could have sold 1 million comics. Well, no, you couldn't, because the people that are downloading and pirating that stuff are not buyers. They're not going to buy that.
Yeah.
Now and also I think it's a good sales tool as well. Now, and I'll even say this to people. I'll be like, yeah, go download it, legally. Do whatever you need to do. It doesn't matter. We got 2, 3, and 4. If you need to read 1, go download 1, buy 2, 3, and 4. And then when we get 1 back in, come and buy it.
Right.
But if you don't, then if you don't like it, then fine. You get a couple comics, you can sell them online or something, and whatever.
Right.
I think all these things have to come together and be used as tools. I mean, I think what would be great is if Image would also put a digital code in their books for a digital download. And I feel like for those first 5 books, I feel like they should have, the first issue should have a first issue download. Second issue should have number 1 and 2 in it. Third issue should have 1, 2, and 3, and so on until you hit 5. Then when you hit number 6, maybe that's a new story arc or something like that. You know what I mean?
Still by art.
So it's like, yeah, man. Yeah. And, I mean, you're going to buy, somebody that comes in here that's going to buy the book, they're going to buy the book. Giving them digital copies is not going to take that book out of their hands. It's not going to happen.
And I think
they're walking into a comic shop. They're walking into a comic shop. They're not logging onto a laptop.
Right.
And that's a huge difference, I think. But, and especially with Image, though, when they're not reprinting those number 1s, put the friggin' code in the number 2 the number one, so people can get it and read it, and you can continue to sell your books. It shouldn't be this tough.
Yeah.
It's just weird, but anyway, that's, you know.
So ideas on how to make it more sustainable as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for me, bottom line, I don't think that comic books are going anywhere.
No,
I think we're pretty safe, both in the secondary market and local comic shops. You've been thriving on nothing but comic books for the last 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
every single person pretty much
it.
told me when I opened, no, you need Warhammer, you need Pokemon cards, you need Hero Clicks, you need, and almost everything they've said I needed have pretty much gone away.
Right.
You know, you need, the big one was like, oh man, why aren't you doing Hero Clicks? You're never going to last. Oh, well, if you want Hero Clicks, I got that box over there at the box. They're cool little tiny figures that just came in the collection. They threw them up there. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I survived fine without that. And I don't mean that to sound, you know, all cocky and everything.
Right.
But it's like, you know, if you try to concentrate and do well on one thing instead of 10 different things that you don't know anything about, you know, I mean, I think that's a lot of the sustainability right there is retailers that stay in this, love this, and concentrate on this and really try to say, okay, this is what we do. So we're a comic specialty shop, a local comic shop. We're an LCS. We're not a local hobby shop.
And we've got one of those, and they do pretty well.
We've got one, and there's a place for that too. There's a place for that, you know. But if you try to do too much, you don't do anything right.
I do know a handful of shops that do nothing but comics. That's all I've done for 20 years, and they're doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a little place called Mile High. Not doing too shabby.
I've heard of it.
Not doing too shabby.
I've heard of it. They're in the Mile High City.
So yeah, that's. Do you have any more thoughts on sustainability?
You know, I don't think I do.
All right.
That you ran me out of words. That's a first. Blah 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 blah.
All right. So we're gonna let Greg get going and do his running around. I'm gonna buy some books.
Yes, that's all good.
James from Hive Comics has expressed an interest in sitting down with us so we can mock him on camera.
Absolutely. That's going to be fun.
So we will talk to you later. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Share if you can. And we'll see you next time.
Oh, and also, ring that bell.
We'll see you later, traders.